Hey there, friends. Jim Miller coming to you with Pure Gravel on another episode of the Pre-Ride Show. Still in the heart of the expo here at Belgian Waffle Ride, North Carolina. I get a chance to spend a few minutes with Tiffany Cromwell. Tiffany, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks for having me.
You have been on a whirlwind tour of late there, my dear. We were in Tokyo for the Olympics. We came to Colorado for a little higher altitude training, and now here in North Carolina. That's a lot to handle in a short period of time.
It is, and also with a stop off back in Europe as well.
Oh, went all the way back to Europe.
Just missed Australia.
Man.
But, yeah.
Let's talk about the Olympics. We talked about this a little bit the other day. Had to be an amazing experience, but you guys didn't feel the whole sense of the lack of the crowds like the other areas did, because that area wasn't affected by as affected by that.
Yeah, obviously it was a huge honour to compete at the Olympics for Team Australia. It's always been a childhood dream. We knew this one was going to be a unique situation given the COVID situation, and we knew it was going to be very restrictive and things like this. So in terms of actually the participation side, it just felt like being another bike race. We were in our own hotel close to where the finish was, in Fuji Speedway, which was about an hour and a half out of Tokyo, simply because the training's better for starters, but you just had all the other nations' cycling teams there. But yeah, then when it came to race day, we were fortunate in the first part in the city, like kind of on the edge of Tokyo. It's a public area, so there was huge crowds, and then for any competition outside of Tokyo, it wasn't under the state of emergency thing. So then there was allowed 50% capacity in the stadiums, or for us in the grandstand at the final. So that was nice because, we got the atmosphere, and it was obviously an amazing thing to be a part of, but also having that atmosphere to help bring you up during the times you're really suffering, it definitely helps.
Yeah, and then we jumped to the high altitude of Steamboat last week. How'd you feel there? It seemed like it was a wonderful event and run really well.
Yeah, it was great to be back at Steamboat. It was my second time being there, but the last time, it was there for a bit of fun, let's say, pre-Colorado Classic, I think I was doing. So I only did the blue course first. This time I was like, all right, we want to come here, we want to try compete for the win and be in the biggest event. I've been there for a week, so I did have a little bit of time to adapt to the altitude, starting in Boulder, then up in Breckenridge, and then finally Steamboat. But yeah, it was definitely an amazingly run race, but super hard. It was quite warm, obviously very, very dry conditions up there.
Yeah.
And, it was a pretty high caliber field as well amongst the professionals, and I think it was 700 people started the black course. So from the start, I was like, all right, people going this hard for 140 miles.
Yeah.
But I got through it. There were moments where I wasn't sure if I could make it to the finish. Like, I don't traditionally ride that far.
Right.
I don't train that far. Like, for me, I like that 3, 4, maximum 5 hour ride. So yeah, that's something to learn a bit more with the gravel side, but it was a great event, and I was very happy to get to the finish line, but I was very broken as well at the end.
A lot of people looked broken when they were finished, that's for sure. Much has been written about this leap into the gravel world for you. Is that kind of like by your choice and design, say, I'd like to do this, or was it more the team saying, hey, we're going to spread out and do some of these mixed surface events and things like that?
Yeah, so actually it was the team's idea. So Canyon Tram, when I was renegotiating my contract coming into season 21, it's kind of like, I think Ronnie, who's our team owner, he obviously had the idea in his head. He, as a team, we always like to do things a bit differently. We've dabbled with other athletes like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who was with the team for a number of years, where she did not only the road, but end up focusing on mountain bike and cyclocross. So it's about, for him, it's like, okay, how can we give the best exposure to our sponsors possible? So not only in road, where that is our major targets, which are the races we want to be number one at, but all right, where else can we say can be good for the sponsors? So obviously gravel is a massively growing market. So you saw, all right, for the likes of Canyon, for the likes of SRAM, Waffle, many of our sponsors, so many of them love the gravel world, and it's a big area for them. So I think for them, they like the idea, and I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a great idea. I like the idea of still doing the biggest road races, but having that time to be away from that high pressure, high stress scene and do some gravel races, because the first experience I had was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun environment. Like, it's hard racing, as I've recently learned, but you can then chill out and whatever. It's not the same kind of.
Is it different to adjust to the mentality of a normal team race and the tactics and things like that, as opposed to more of an individual race, like a large format gravel race?
Not so much. I think it's more you just focus on yourself more. Like, of course, when we're in the team aspect, you're there, you still have your individual role within the team. You say, all right, today this is what I know I need to do. So it's kind of like taking just that one role that that's your part for the team and just saying, okay, today this is my role, but it's for me. So, and with gravel, it's like, at least at the moment, because it's mass participation, so you start men and women together, which is great because it truly shows the strengths of what the women are capable of. But, you know, there's not so many tactics involved. It's like, all right, let's just try to hang on for as long as possible because that's the best tactic to try to beat the other women. And some are capable of it, some blow up spectacularly. So, yeah, it's just nice to, I love obviously team racing and having that job as well, but it's nice not to have to stress about all the different dynamics, and it's like, all right, let's just focus on enjoying, taking in all the different elements that gravel has and just trying to hang on for as long as possible.
And a conversation for another day, a longer time, but there's a lot of discussion about how that plays out right now in terms of that, in the women's field in particular. But I hope that works out. I think that's one of the unique things about gravel is we're still kind of figuring out the rules, you know, and race versus competition versus just rolling out and having fun. So
yeah, definitely. You know, also for me, like I'm still very novice and green in the gravel world. Like I get, all right, you have to ride long distances, you need to think about your tire pressures. You need to have a different skill set, like not only a good engine, but ability to handle your bike on the gravel and things like that. And also just hugely strong mental game as well.
Yeah. So you're here in North Carolina racing BWR with us. Thanks for coming. We're excited. Any thoughts or feelings going into the race tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here in North Carolina for BWR. I've heard a lot about the events. Unfortunately, it's the first time that I've actually been able to make one. Like we're hoping to be a bit earlier, but stoked to be here. I've ridden a little bit around here, and you know, from what I've heard about the course as well, it sounds really exciting. I like the idea of the mix of the road and the gravel. I think that's probably going to suit me a little bit better, because although, you know, I am strong on the gravel, I'm maybe not quite as powerful as some of the others who are strong on the gravel. And it just seems like a beautiful area. You know, it's going to be relentless. It's up and down all the time, but it's also winding roads. I like that. I like it when it's not straight. And yeah, just looking forward to it. And I like this a little bit shorter. It's 100 miles.
Don't say that to Michael. He might not appreciate it.
Shorter in gravel terms, but it's still going to be a long day. And with, you know, the amount of climbing stuff, time-wise, it's going to be long. But yeah, no, it's going to be a great day out, and excited to see, you know, the beauty and the magic of the Belgian Waffle.
What's the rest of your calendar for the rest of the racing season?
So after this, I'll head back to Europe. I have Chloe Women's World Tour race in just over a week's time. And then we got the Challenge by La Volta. So it's a 4-day stage race in conjunction with the men's Volta de España. So that'll be exciting. It's a lot of climbing though. I've never actually done that race, so it's also quite nice to do something new. Then we start preparing for the World Championships, which is in Flanders, in Belgium. So I'm really excited for that Worlds because the last few editions have been very climb heavy and very selective. Versus this one, I think it's a much more open course where it's a lot more unpredictable of who can be the favourites. Like a lot more people can potentially win, and we have a strong Australian team. So I'll probably do, you know, a one-day race before that, about a week out to lead in. And then we have obviously got Women's Paris-Roubaix, the race that is forever waiting to happen. You know, it's been cancelled 2 or 3 times already, but that will be exciting. And then, yeah, focusing back onto gravel then after that. So for the moment we have Gravel Epic in Marrakesh. Hopefully it can still go ahead. We're just waiting to find out with the situation down there. And then back to BWR as well at the end of October, right? For the Halloween edition, Kansas.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see all the great results that you're going to put up.
Yeah.
So this is a personal question. I hope you don't mind. Pro athletes, you guys run in a pretty exclusive world in a realm like that. But you and your boyfriend Valtteri, residents in Monaco. I'm curious. I'm a big F1 fan. Monaco, in general, glamorous and very expensive and very, very beautiful. What's it like on F1 weekend in Monaco? That's got to be just the most amazing, surreal scene of the people and the vibe and the sound and everything like that.
Yeah, you know, Monaco Grand Prix is very unique. You know, I've been living in Monaco since 2011, but obviously I've only been with Valtteri for a little over a year now. So I've experienced Monaco from both sides of the world. Yeah, it is. It's one of those weekends that everybody vibes up, talks about. But what you say, like for somebody living there versus being a part of it, it's 2 things. So people who don't want to be a part of it, you're out of town.
They're on vacation, yeah.
Because basically, like the city shuts down, and it's just parties and.
They're probably renting their house out for a good price.
Yeah,
and things
exactly. You know, you see next level stuff there, and I've enjoyed it from the side. You know, kindly enough from friends who have events that have it on the side of a boat or a balcony or things like this, But it's one of the races where you can be as close as possible to the car. Like I watched once at my friend's apartment, and in their garden, you literally have the garden retaining wall there, just past Fairmont Corner, and the car's just there. You know, you're ridiculously close. It's pretty crazy. This year, obviously, we had it and I was in the pits with Valtteri, and it was exciting in a different way. Obviously, it was one of the first races to have crowds again, so it was still lacking a little bit, like the usual big pizzazz. Like we live in the port, and normally, you know, all night long it's music, music, music. But this year it was a bit more shut down. But you know, still, yeah, it's a nice race to enjoy the buzz and everything. You know, because from a racing perspective, it's a pretty straightforward race because it's very hard to overtake. But you know, from a spectator point of view, it's just, you know, this amazing, like, people watching place and just atmosphere in general. That's
cool. Thank you for that indulgence. I appreciate it. Tiffany Cromwell, we look forward to seeing you do really, really well tomorrow. We're excited you're here. Thank you.
All right,
appreciate you.
Me.
That's it for this episode of the Pre-Ride Show. Tiffany Cromwell joining us. Make sure to subscribe and click the little bell so you get notifications of all the new episodes that drop while we're here in North Carolina. Thanks for looking in.